Stay, because today you'll learn about 3 cases that, while different, I'm sure you'll love. On one hand, we're going to Córdoba to find out what happens inside an important ice cream shop in this province. Then we're going to find out what happened to 2 people living in a motorhome. And finally, we'll see a series of videos that show something that systematically happens in a wind farm in Patagonia, Argentina. So, as you can see, this is going to be a very interesting video. But before we start, I want to let you know, because many of you don't know, that the channel store is active again. After a break of a few months of being unavailable, it's back again. So you can ask for the catalog whenever you want. I invite you to do it through the WhatsApp number that's on the screen right now, with no obligation at all. This way, you learn about the products and designs, and if you like one, you can have it for yourself. Stay tuned, 3 giveaways are coming up, with the first next week on Spotify. So if you don't follow me there, I suggest you do, that way you'll have the chance to participate. There will be one on YouTube, another here as usual, and the last on Instagram. Stay tuned, 3 can't miss giveaways are coming up, friends. That being said, let's get started right now with this new paranormal story. Enjoy it. I once worked at a Grido ice cream shop in Córdoba and never expected to experience anything paranormal there. And actually, it wasn't just me. My co-workers also witnessed all of this, and we were never able to find a logical explanation. There were maybe a lot of things that, since they were subtle at first, you don't really pay much attention to them, but as the days and weeks went by, everything changed. Because these subtle things became more intense to the point where they started to scare us. And there was a particular event that really marked a before and after. When I think about all this, the first memory I have was one afternoon. It was winter, so few people were around. I had bought ice cream and even fewer people came in the afternoon, so it was usually a time to clean, rest, and tidy up the place. In the back, we had a small break room where we could sit for a while to eat, have some tea or coffee during our free time. Of course. And so, my co-worker, taking advantage of how quiet it was, went to the break room. Meanwhile, I stayed in the sales area, cleaning up a bit and waiting to see if any customers came in. Like I said, everything was more than quiet, and suddenly I hear my co-worker let out a huge scream. I turned around and saw her running into the sales area with a scared look on her face, saying something that didn't make any sense at that moment. According to her, someone had bumped into or pushed her, and not only that, but they had also untied the apron we always wear as part of our uniform. When I heard her, I smiled and told her to calm down, because she probably just got it caught on something and that's why it came undone. We also have locas in the break room, so what I was thinking could have easily happened. But she looked at me, repeated exactly the same thing, and I realized she was very sure about what she was saying. But I insist it was impossible because we were alone in the entire place. My co-worker was frightened. She had experienced what she described and refused to return for anything. In the back, for my part, I kept thinking that it was all just a simple misunderstanding. So I left the cleaning supplies and went to the break room to check for myself that I was right. We were alone. The thing was that when I got to the back, to the break room, there really was no one there. But I felt something strange, and I don't know why. I felt the need to open the storage room. And that's when it was different, because as soon as I opened the door, a very, very cold wind hit me in the face. I know it might sound stupid and straight out of a horror movie, but I swear on my life that it happened this way. And the strange thing was that it had never happened before.
Without thinking, I go down, I take 3 steps. If I went down 1 more step and crouched, I could see the whole storage room. My plan was to do that, go down that step and peek in, without having to go all the way down the stairs, just go down that step and peek in. But when I'm about to take that step, to go down that stair, I hear as if someone is standing on the stairs. It was a metal staircase, so you could hear a screech. And I started to hear as if someone was coming up the stairs, but not quickly. You could hear the steps slowly coming up the stairs. So I'm not gonna lie, I got really scared. But I didn't dare to turn around and leave quickly, to go up those stairs quickly. I was near the door, but didn't dare turn around. I began stepping backward toward the door, never taking my eyes off the stairs.
In those few seconds it took me to get upstairs, I heard those footsteps too, and it was clear they were coming up. At that moment I was scared, I admit it, and the only thing I could do was get out as fast as possible and close the door. This was impossible, but it was happening. We were alone in this place. The storage room had no other entrance, and it was terrifying to realize that we were in the presence of something we couldn't explain. And it's more than clear that we completely ruled out the possibility of it being a rat. For example, the footsteps. The sound of each one was so distinct, so obvious that there was no doubt. They were the footsteps of a person we couldn't see with the naked eye, but we could definitely sense and hear them. I returned to the room with my colleague and we both went outside to the sidewalk. We weren't sure whether to call the owner, police, security, do nothing, or just keep working as usual. We were in a situation that caught us by surprise. So we decided to wait for the delivery guy, the young man who worked with us who was about to return to the store, tell him what had happened and ask him please to go downstairs and check if there was anyone there. The funniest part was when he arrived and we told him, he reacted completely differently than we expected. He was more scared than us, so we definitely wouldn't go downstairs. The thing was that the three of us were at the door of the shop, not knowing what to do. Until at one point I gathered my courage and convinced myself that it was impossible for anything paranormal to manifest in the ice cream shop. Usually those things happen in old creepy places or where something tragic occurred. And as far as I knew, nothing had ever happened there. So I went in pretty much without thinking about anything, turned on the storage room light, opened the door and went down. I didn't act cautiously, I just went down as if nothing was wrong. Once downstairs I found myself completely alone. No one was there. I checked the few places there were where someone could possibly hide, but no, there was no one. I was alone. In that moment in the basement, I asked myself what had happened just minutes earlier. Because I heard the footsteps and clearly felt the presence of someone else with me, but there was no one there. I stood still, observing every detail, listening, and then I went upstairs. I told my co-workers it was calm and empty, they came in and we did something else. We wrote to our supervisor to have her check the security cameras. We told her in detail what had happened and waited to see if anything else could be seen in the footage. What happened was very strange. A few minutes later she replied, but not as we expected. First of all, the message was from her, saying not to worry because almost everyone at the ice cream shop had experienced something strange for a while. There are calm moments and others when it shows up without knowing why. And this didn't answer anything for us because the question was still there. What was happening? What was manifesting? And we also wanted to know if something showed up in the camera footage or not. She flatly refused to show us the footage because according to her, we would get even more scared. And she also told us that things happened in that ice cream shop that could possibly be the triggers for this activity to manifest. What happened? We never found out.
A lot of other things have happened to us at the ice cream shop too. From things that move to the toilet lids in the bathrooms that go up and down. You can still hear them, but you only hear it when it's empty. You don't hear it when there are people around. You hear it with your work team even when alone. With no movement, every noise is audible. If it's not full of people, you don't hear it. When the place is empty, that's when you hear it. It surprises you because you wouldn't expect so much to happen in such an innocent place.
My name is Fernando, and I want to share an experience I had in 2012 with the listeners. Far from Argentina specifically, in Canada, I was working at several institutions there at the time. Coincidentally, that year, a lifelong friend visited the area. Not just to visit and get to know the place, but also to try to find some job opportunities. Taking advantage, of course, of my contacts in this country and without going into too much detail which might not be important. I'd like to mention that neither of us is religious. We consider ourselves Christian because of family reasons, but that's all. And as for the paranormal, up until those days, it was a subject that didn't really interest me much. Nothing strange had ever happened to me, and I always approached things from a more analytical, more rational point of view. Although I realized that sometimes there's nothing left to do but accept the unexplainable. I was living in Vancouver and luckily my friend had managed to get one. I work at a mechanic shop specialized in high-end brands in the city of Surrey, about 50 kilometers from my house. For him, it was a hassle to go back and forth to work every day, so as soon as he could, he decided to buy a motorhome. He would live there, have everything he needed, and also have mobility in case he needed it. This allowed him to save and send money to his family in Argentina. And obviously, if he needed to, he would sell the vehicle and practically wouldn't lose any money. The photo you're seeing is the same model of motorhome that my friend bought, and it's where everything I'm about to tell you happened. It happened weeks later. Later, since I had a few weeks off, I took advantage of that time. I accepted my friend's invitation to spend a mini vacation in his new recreational vehicle. Even though he had to work, his schedule was flexible and it was a good opportunity for us to catch up after so many years without seeing each other. Federico, my friend, had his motorhome in a gated lot where people can park this kind of vehicle. Live problem-free with reliable electricity, water and 24-hour security above all. And the good thing was that here there was a place called Brownsville Pub where you could have something to eat, have a snack, breakfast or even get a drink at night. While you listen to live bands, a truly impeccable and unique place where we went many times, mainly to eat. Exactly on one of these occasions, we had dinner and went back to the motorhome. It was winter and very cold. I don't recall the exact temperature, but I think it was about 10 or 12 degrees below zero. Keep in mind that the temperature can drop even lower around here. Anyway, that's just a detail. And that early morning we woke up when we heard a noise. It was a strange noise coming from one side of the motorhome. I stayed listening. I realized that Federico was also awake and alert. He signaled to me that he didn't know what was going on, what was happening. And I want to be clear that as days go by, you start to recognize the different noises that a house or a car, for example, can make. Here, we're referring to a vehicle made mostly of metal and wood. It's more than logical that temperature changes can cause noises all the time. But this was different, and in a few seconds, the noise increased. Now it felt like the ceiling, the floor, and the walls were creaking. The closest sound, just to give you an idea, is like a water bottle. Those thin plastic ones, something like that. It felt like some force was compacting the trailer. I looked out through one of the windows, but I couldn't see anything. We tried looking through another one, but it was the same. The motorhome started to shake. That was the feeling we had, and along with this creaking sound, we started to panic.
And we didn't think it was a good idea to go outside to see what was happening either. It was so paralyzing. The sound and the feeling we were experiencing were just so paralyzing. And whatever it was, that's something, I don't know what was surrounding the motorhome at that moment. Well, we were practically in a state of panic.
Little by little, this sound started to fade, but we began to realize that something else was happening. We're never going to know if it was one thing or more, but they were walking slowly and circling around the vehicle as if they were trying to stalk us. It was nerve-wracking, and look, I'm not someone who's easily impressed. This lasted 20 or 25 minutes, then it calmed down and the night returned to normal. We looked out many times but saw nothing. That time, of course, it was almost impossible to sleep through the night, and finally, in the morning, with the daylight, we went outside. We didn't find anything at all that could answer our questions about what had happened at dawn. But it didn't end there. 2 nights later, we were sitting outside and we saw that some kind of animal appeared near us, much bigger than a dog. Much bigger, all black. And it just walked and started to move away. It didn't do anything to us. We didn't even move, of course. But it was impressive that when this animal, or whatever it was, reached a big wall that's on one of the boundaries, it simply disappeared when it hit it, as if it had gone right through it. Was this what tormented us that night? I don't know. I'm very aware that in this country there are moose, deer, buffalo, or even bears, but let me tell you that this part of the city is probably far from where these animals usually go. It's a rather urban area, so you can understand, therefore you don't see large animals around. Another option that completely defies common sense is the legend of the Wendigo, a mythological creature that possesses people, turning them into beings that simply eat each other. Whatever the answer is, we don't know it, but we're sure that what we experienced those 2 nights had no logical explanation. Next, you're going to see a series of videos that were filmed at a wind farm in Olavarría, and the person who sent it works at this place. He says these lights appear regularly at the same time and no one knows their origin or purpose. He also sent me a message saying the following: I work at a private security company in a wind farm in Olavarría. We patrol the premises every hour to ensure everything is in order. On this last patrol, my co-worker told me that they were being seen again. The lights in the sky, those lights we always see, something common that everyone around here sees frequently. I tried to record it. The quality isn't the best, but I can assure you that in person it's something impressive.
There in the photo I marked the antenna that I use as a reference. I had to study. Ah, okay. There above the antenna on the upper right side is where the lights were. This always happens at the same time, always at dawn. This thing around 4 o'clock always happens. And well, there you have the evidence. It's 3 hours.
One fades away while the other shines brighter over hours.
There's another one, man. There are 3. Yes, now there are 3. Yes, 3. Now the truck's light. The truck's light appeared below. Yeah, I don't think they're drones. Nobody here has a drone. Besides, that high up and with so much light.
Thanks for making it to the end, friends. You can share your experiences via the WhatsApp number on the Nervustrack screen. It doesn't matter how long it is. It doesn't matter how much you send. You can add photos, videos, or anything you think is necessary to make your story as complete as possible. Then, if your story is selected and I have any questions, I'll be reaching out to you. See you in a few days, and now I'm sending a big hug to all of you.